to you, all our viewers tuned in to Camnet TV main news today, the 31st of July in the year 2026. Let's now take a look at the news headlines. Political parties sign peace pledge ahead of August 13 elections. Economist calls for fiscal discipline to sustain inflation gains. Mining sector posts strong gains as nickel output surges 143%. In international news, voter registration opens as Haiti eyes December polls. In sports news, CHIPOLOPOLO Open 2027 AFCON qualifiers away to Algeria. Join us for these and many more stories after the break.
Before 2022, millions of Zambian children stayed home because school was unaffordable for many families. Today, things are much better. No more tuition fees, no more PTA fees, and no more examination fees. More than 2.5 million children are back in class across the country. Schools are feeding our children and classrooms are full again. And with the enhanced Constituency Development Fund, more classrooms are being built, more desks are being made, more teachers are being hired. Because Bali cares. He has delivered this for all children across Zambia. Because free education is not just a policy. It is a promise to every Zambian child, a promise that poverty will not decide their future, a promise delivered. On the 13th of August 2026, vote for Hakainde Hichilema as President of the Republic of Zambia. And let's continue to move Zambia forward together.
Voting is one of the few moments where we all have a voice.
One person, one vote.
No titles, no status.
Just a choice.
It's not about doing nothing.
It's about showing up.
Because your vote matters.
It's easy.
It's important.
It's ours.
Count me in.
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 Camnet TV main news now showing on Topstar channel 106, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on the Kstream app. With the main news in detail, I'm Tapelo Joe Smata. Political parties have signed a peace pledge committing themselves to peaceful campaigns, respect for the rule of law, and the rejection of violence ahead of Zambia's August 13, 2026 general elections. Speaking during the signing ceremony, Zambia Center for Inter-Party Dialogue, ZCID board chairperson Ambassador Joyce Musenge described the signing of the pledge as an important step towards reducing political tensions and fostering issue-based campaigns. She called on all political parties to honor their commitments and demonstrate leadership that promotes national unity throughout the election period. And Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ chairperson Mwangala Zalomis, said the strength of a democracy is measured not only by how elections are conducted, but also by how political players conduct themselves throughout the electoral process. She said the peace pledge reflects a shared commitment to safeguarding Zambia's democratic traditions by promoting peaceful, credible, and inclusive elections. The ECZ chairperson urged political parties to reject discrimination and ethnic politics, uphold the country's motto of One Zambia, One Nation, and ensure that party leaders guide their members to respect the law, electoral authorities, security agencies, and fellow citizens. She also called on political parties to prevent the carrying of weapons and the formation of militia groups during campaigns. Meanwhile, Bishop Joshua Banda urged political leaders to place the country's interests above partisan politics and preserve Zambia's long-standing reputation as a peaceful nation. Bishop Banda said political competition should never result in violence, adding that leaders have a moral responsibility to protect lives and strengthen national cohesion. Secretary to the Cabinet, Patrick Kangwa, said Zambia has maintained peace throughout its 61 years of independence despite holding competitive elections. Mr. Kangwa said governments have come and gone, but the country has continued on a peaceful development path because Zambians have consistently chosen dialogue over conflict. Mr. Kangwa urged political leaders to translate the commitments contained in the peace pledge into concrete action by ensuring that their supporters conduct peaceful campaigns. House of Chiefs Chairperson Chief Fwambo appealed to traditional leaders and political actors to work together in maintaining peace before, during, and after elections.
Are united by one common purpose: to ensure that our democratic processes are peaceful, credible, inclusive, and reflective of the will of the Zambian people. The strength of any democracy, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, lies not only in the conduct of elections, but also in the conduct of those who participate in them.
The Peace Pledge demonstrates a collective commitment to safeguarding Zambia's democratic tradition by promoting peaceful, credible, and inclusive elections. The Electoral Commission of Zambia welcomes every initiative that contributes to a peaceful electoral environment. Peace is not merely desirable during elections, it is essential. Without peace, citizens cannot freely exercise their constitutional right to vote.
Parties pledge to foster national unity, condemn all forms of discrimination and ethnocentric politics, and uphold Zambia's enduring motto: one Zambia, one nation. Fourth, ensure responsible conduct of party members and cadres. That is, educate and guide party members to respect the law, electoral authorities, security agencies, and fellow citizens. Parties, therefore, commit to preventing the carrying of weapons, dismantling military style.
For 61 years, this government, this country has been in peace. For 61 years, we've held elections, and we've always united. For the same 61 years, we've continued our development trajectory. In all these years, government has stood with the people and ensured that elections come, elections go, and the country continues on a peaceful trajectory.
Pledge, we commend your willingness to publicly commit yourselves to peaceful campaigns and responsible leadership. We urge you to translate these commitments into action by guiding your members and supporters to uphold peace throughout the electoral process.
Economist analyst Kelvin Chisanga says Zambia's decision to maintain annual inflation at 6.5% in July 2026 demonstrates that the country's macroeconomic stabilization efforts continue to deliver positive results. Mr. Chisanga said the latest inflation rate, which remained unchanged from June, marks a significant improvement from 13.0% recorded in July 2025, representing a 50% reduction over the past year, while remaining within the Bank of Zambia's 6 to 8% policy target range. He attributed the decline in food inflation from 6.7% in June to 6.4% in July to improved agricultural production and increased food supplies across the country. However, Mr. Tsanga noted that non-food inflation rose from 6.0% to 6.7%, reflecting continued cost pressures in areas such as energy, transport, and imported goods. He further said Zambia's broader economic fundamentals continue to improve, pointing to 7.7% gross domestic product (GDP) growth in the first quarter of 2026, international reserves of $6.5 billion, and a relatively stable exchange rate of about 18.3 kwacha to the United States dollar.
Zambia's inflation is still holding steadily. Obviously, looking at the number of different combinations in terms of how certain things are working out. So the latest inflation figures provides an important economic signal. Of course, understanding that there has been a moderation which we have seen, taking place. Obviously, this also keeps to say that inflation is holding firmly within the Bank of Zambia target range of 6 to 8%. So the bigger story in the process here is that the progress made over the past year, reflecting of about 50% reduction as compared to what we have also been able to see in the last previous years. This testifies to say that inflation has delivered a stability dividend, which creates what the economy calls as a stability dividend for the economy. And obviously for the household, this means that slower increments in most of the cost of living items, particularly with food inflation, easing, supported by a strong improved agriculture production as well as food supply availability. For the business sense, this stability in inflation improves planning modalities, reduces the aspect of uncertainty, and support investment decision patterns. Investors also take very keen interest into this in terms of trying to see that confidence is more predictable in an economic environment, especially when we combined with the current or the recent atmosphere of recording 7.7% of the growth in the first quarter of this year. And this compounded to the case of having stronger reserves of slightly above $6.4 billion.
Zambia's mining sector recorded strong growth across several key minerals during the first half of 2026, with nickel, manganese, gold, and cobalt production rising sharply as government reforms continue to boost investor confidence and strengthen the industry. Delivering the Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development's mid-year performance statement, Permanent Secretary Dr. Hapenga Kaveta said aggregate copper production increased slightly by 0.45% to 447,181.93 tons from 445,176.59 tons recorded during the same period in 2025. The growth was driven by higher output at Kansanshi, Lumwana, Lubambe, First Quantum Minerals, and Konkola copper mines. Dr. Kaveta said nickel production recorded the strongest growth, rising by 143.08% to 24,910.94 tons, following expansion at FQM Trident's Enterprise Nickel Mine. Manganese production also surged by 287.68% due to improved electricity supply to smelting plants, while gold output increased by 10.94%, and emerald production also registered significant gains, with cobalt production which rose by 17.89%. He, however, noted that some mining operations experienced setbacks. Mopani mine recorded lower production because of planned maintenance at the Mindola shaft, while Chivuluma mine's output declined after a fatal accident led to the suspension of operations. Small-scale Copper production also fell by 35.2%, largely because of inadequate domestic supplies of sulfuric acid. The permanent secretary said government had also made progress in expanding Zambian participation in the mining sector by approving 444 mining and exploration applications out of 818 revealed. Of those approved, 305 were artisanal mining rights, 125 were small-scale licenses, and 14 were large-scale mining and exploration licenses.
2025, our production at this stage was 445,175 metric tons. That's in 2025, and 447,181 metric tons of copper in 2026. This is driven mainly by increase in production by Kansanshi, Lumwana, Lubambe, FQM, and Gonkola copper mines, among others. I think it's important to note that in our previous media briefing, we indicated a decline of production from FQM Sentinel, but this time around there is a positive production. There is an increase coming from there. Production at Kansanshi and Gonkola copper mines had increased by 2.44% and 21.43% respectively, compared to the same period in the previous year. The increase at Kansanshi was mainly supported by the S3 expansion project, which sustained the throughput above design capacity and recorded its highest processed tonnage in the second quarter of 2026, driven by increased operating time, strong plant utilization, and higher milling rates. For KCM, the improvement in production reflected stronger operational performance supported by recapitalization, improved mine development, and enhanced equipment availability and greater consistency of plant feed.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has sentenced 6 people to 2 years imprisonment with hard labor each after convicting them of forging national registration cards, NRCs, in a case that exposed an identity fraud syndicate involving foreign nationals. According to Department of Immigration Chief Public Relations Officer Namati Shinka, the court convicted Zambian nationals identified as Brave Nsamba, age 42, Nduli Kakoma, age 46, Jack Banda, age 61, and Ephraim Chioveka, age 53, alongside Kenyan nationals Moses Mululu, age 57, and Hosea Kinutuya Kiai, age 23, on Thursday, July 30, 2026. In addition, Mr. Shinka said to the forgery convictions, the court found the 2 Kenyan nationals guilty of unlawful stay in Zambia and fined each 15,000 kwacha, or in default of payment, sentenced them to 6 months simple imprisonment. Mr. Shinka said the convictions followed investigations launched by the Department of Immigration on July 24, 2025, after immigration officers arrested Kiai during a routine compliance operation in Chipata's Central Business District. Mr. Shinka said, although Kiai claimed to be a Zambian citizen and presented a green national registration card, checks on the Zambia Immigration Department system confirmed he was a Kenyan passport holder. He said the Department of National Registration, Passport and Citizenship also established that the NRC belonged to another person. He said the investigators later tracked down Mululu in Mukushi, where he was also found in possession of another person's NRC after falsely claiming Zambian citizenship. Mr. Shinka explained that investigations then led officers to arrest Banda and Kakoma in Lusaka before tracing the operation to Chioweka. He said officers searched his residence and recovered materials allegedly used to manufacture forged NRCs, including authentic laminating pouches, blank and forged national registration cards, passport photographs, and academic certificates. Mr. Shinka said investigators also arrested in Samba an assistant registration officer based at the Mansa District National Registration Office for allegedly supplying materials used to produce the forged identity documents. The Department of Immigration said investigations revealed that the group operated a syndicate that fraudulently obtained and produced national registration cards for foreign nationals in exchange for payment. Mr. Shinka said after completing investigations, the department submitted the case to a National Prosecutions Authority, which prosecuted the 6 suspects on forgery charges, while the 2 Kenyan nationals faced an additional charge of unlawful stay. The department warned that the fraudulent acquisition, production, possession, or use of national registration cards and other national identity documents remains a serious criminal offense that undermines the integrity of Zambia's civil registration system, facilitates illegal immigration and organized crime, and poses a threat to national security. Moving on in the news, the Civil Society Elections Integrity Forum is concerned about the rising incidence of political violence in the country. Chairperson Solomon Ngoma stated that such acts undermine the democratic process and weaken public confidence. Mr. Ngoma added that the destruction of property threatens peace and stability across affected provinces. He observed that violence discourages citizens from participating in elections and fuels voter apathy. Mr. Ngoma noted that selective application of the law erodes confidence in state institutions. He advanced that impartial policing is essential to safeguard free and fair elections. Mr. Ngoma said that silence is in the face of violence is unacceptable and dangerous for democracy.
The Civil Society Elections Integrity Forum Zambia wishes to express its deep concern over the escalating incident of political violence that have recently been recorded in the Copper Belt and Northwestern provinces. Reports indicate that vehicles belonging to a certain political party have been smashed by suspected UPND cadres, acts which represent a serious threat to the integrity of Zambia's democratic process. Such violence undermines the principles of the free and fair elections and erodes public confidence in the ability of institutions to safeguard peace during the electoral cycle. We strongly condemn these acts of electoral violence and call upon the Zambia Police Command to end the selective application of the law in matters relating to political violence. The failure to act decisively and impartially has the potential to cause widespread voter apathy, particularly in areas perceived to be strongholds of the ruling party. When citizens feel that the law is applied unevenly, they lose faith in the democratic process, and this weakens the legitimacy of elections. Civil Society Elections Integrity Forum would like to appeal to the leadership of the United Party for National Development, UPND, to publicly denounce violence being perpetrated by suspected UPND cadres. What is especially troubling is the apparent inaction of the Zambia police, who have been observed watching these incidents unfold without taking meaningful steps to intervene. Violence does not strengthen democracy. It discredits those who tolerate or entertain it. It discourages citizens from participating in elections. We therefore urge all political party presidents, including His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, to denounce political violence and commit themselves to a peaceful electoral conduct. The responsibility to protect Zambia's democracy rests not only with the ruling party, but with all political actors.
We now take our first set of commercials, but do join us for more news when we come back. Do stay tuned.
Are you looking for a reliable and efficient courier company with international standards? Then let UBZ Courier, your trusted partner in swift and secure deliveries, be your ultimate choice. Whether it's a small package or a hefty consignment, UBZ Courier handles it all, locally and internationally. Our modern call center ensures personalized attention for every client. For seamless deliveries within Zambia and beyond, Trust UBZ Courier. Call us now on +260 763 062 680 or visit us at plot number 15 Mwapona Road, Woodland, Lusaka, Zambia. UBZ Courier, a world-class brand that can be trusted.
Applications for the National Primary School Debate Competition are now open. Collect your form at your nearest district headquarters.
You need to apply for this.
Me?
Yes, you, Chipo.
But I am just a cattle boy from the village.
There is nothing small about being a cattle boy. If you never knock, the door will never open. There was another boy, like you, Chipo. He had nothing but the cattle and the long days. He left the cattle and he climbed. He asked for the hardest job in the country. 2006, he knocked. 2008, 2011, 2015, 2016. Still, it would not open. And they put him behind a door of their own. He waited there, Chipo, and he did not stop believing the door would open. Then one day he stood up. He went to the door and he knocked the first time. And then he knocked the second time. And in 2021, the door opened. And when the door opened, the real work began. 860 kilometers of new feeder roads and 11,000 more health workers, 30,000 new teachers in a single year. And when school was made free, the children came back, 2.5 million, the biggest numbers we have ever seen. All that because one cattle boy decided to knock on the door. If you never knock, the door will never be open to you.
Shikulu, I will go get the forms.
That's my boy.
On the 13th of August 2026, vote for Hakainde Hichilema as President of the Republic of Zambia. And let's continue to move Zambia forward together.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Television, not just another channel.
In every celebration, there's a simple choice being made. To belong, count me in. In moments of love and promises for tomorrow, count me in. The checkout line, in the middle of an ordinary day, a reminder that every number matters. Count me in. Across our communities, our streets, the same message finds us. Count me in. From the everyday worker to the hands shaping our future every day, the call is the same. Count me in. And around the traditions that bring us together, the message becomes impossible to ignore. Count me in.
This election season, your vote counts. Get your NRC and voters card ready.
Count me in.
Welcome back to the Camnet News Desk, and now the news continues. Chapter 1 Foundation Board Chairperson Linda Kasonde has called for an urgent investigation into reports that Social Cash Transfer (ACT) beneficiaries received text messages allegedly urging them to vote for President Hakainde Hichilema and the ruling United Party for National Development (UPND) to continue receiving their benefits. Speaking on behalf of a coalition of civil society organizations, Ms. Kasonde said the organizations had not independently verified the source of the messages but described the allegations as deeply concerning. She said beneficiaries and members of the public who receive the messages should preserve them and submit copies to the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, the Anti-Corruption Commission, ACC, and the coalition to facilitate investigations. Ms. Kasonde said if the allegations are confirmed, the conduct would amount to a serious abuse of incumbency and government resources to benefit the ruling party ahead of the August 18 general election. She stressed that the Social Cash Transfer Program is a statutory social protection scheme funded through public resources and administered by the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services for vulnerable households.
We, a coalition of civil society organizations, are deeply concerned by reports that SMS messages have been sent to members of the public, including beneficiaries of the government's Social Cash Transfer Program, suggesting that they must vote for President Hakainde Hichilema to continue receiving their benefits. If true, this is unacceptable. The social cash transfer is a legal entitlement for vulnerable Zambians funded by public money. It is not a campaign tool for any party. Linking it to how someone votes is coercive, it targets some of our poorest citizens, and it may break our electoral laws. We are calling on the Electoral Commission of Zambia, the Anti-Corruption Commission, to investigate this immediately. We are calling on the government to publicly guarantee that no Zambian will lose their social cash transfer because of how they vote. And we are urging every Zambian who received such a message to keep it and report it to ECZ or our organizations. As we head to the polls on the 13th of August 2026, no one should be made to feel that their vote is the price of their survival. We call for a free, fair, and peaceful election, and for every Zambian to vote without fear or pressure of any kind.
The Human Rights Commission HRC has raised concern over growing incidents of political violence, intimidation, hate speech, and misinformation ahead of Zambia's August 18 general elections. HRC chairperson Dr. Pamela Toela Sambo said the commission has observed isolated cases of violence and inflammatory language among political actors and their supporters, warning that such actions threaten citizens' rights and freedoms during the electoral period. Dr. Sambo said elections must not only focus on voting, but must also guarantee that every citizen participates freely, safely, and with dignity. She cited the deaths of Nelson Chikumbi in Lusaka, Stanley Sakala of Chivuna village in Magoye East constituency, Mazabuka district, and Humphrey Luisha of Kaputa District as examples of incidents that require thorough, impartial, and timely investigations. Dr. Sambo extended condolences to affected families and called on authorities to ensure that those responsible for acts of violence are held accountable in accordance with the law.
In line with Section 61C of the Human Rights Commission Act No. 4 of 2024, the Commission is mandated to periodically report to the general public on the observance of human rights and freedoms in the country. Allow me to first report on the outcome of the Commission Cases Review meeting before briefly reflecting on human rights aspects of the 13th August 2026 general election. Ladies and gentlemen, during the Cases Review meeting, the Commission considered a total of 105 allegations of human rights violations and abuses. These cases arose from different circumstances and involved various duty bearers, including law enforcement agencies, justice sector institutions, and other public and private entities. The cases were categorized as below: maladministration of justice, 2 cases; labor and employment rights, 2 cases; rights to education, 3 cases; rights to health, 6 cases; child protection, 8 cases; protection of personal liberty, 36 cases; and lastly, secure protection of the law, 48 cases. Of these 105 cases reviewed, 62 were successfully resolved by facilitating appropriate remedies for the affected persons through mediation, engagements with responsible institutions, referrals for legal assistance, corrective action, and other forms of redress.
The Community Action Against Corruption, CAAC, says the arrest of former Copperbelt Province Police Commissioner Mwala Yui and 5 others exposes continued challenge of corruption within Zambia's public institutions. CAAC Chief Executive Officer Brighton Tembo said the arrest shows that corruption remains deeply rooted, despite repeated assurances from authorities that the country is making progress in combating the vice. Mr. Tembo said the emergency of corruption allegations involving senior public officials raises concerns about the effectiveness of existing anti-corruption measures and the possibility that criminal networks continue to operate within state institutions. He warned against treating the matter as an isolated arrest meant to create an impression that the system is effectively addressing corruption. Mr. Tembo has called on investigative agencies to ensure that the case receives thorough attention and does not become another high-profile matter that fades away without meaningful accountability.
Police Commissioner Mr. Mwalayui and 5 others is a clear indication that corruption in Zambia is still very much endemic in public institutions and even in institutions that are mandated to enforce the law. Because, you know, despite assurances that this country is confronting corruption in a decisive manner, we feel in a country where corruption is being confronted in a manner that is very decisive, you cannot have a person of the highest rank in a law enforcement office, in the law enforcement institution, getting involved in what we've been told. Yes, we acknowledge the fact that a person is not guilty, not until proven guilty by the competent court of law, but this is a serious source of concern, and we appeal to the law enforcement agencies not to make this case to go like any other high-profile corruption cases which ended up in bizarre conclusions where Zambians could not even tell what conclusions were about those high-profile corruption cases. And we wish to advise the Zambia police not to downgrade this corruption case into something that can be referred to as a theft by public servant. You know, this case is a very serious felony which should be charged as economic sabotage. So there is no way a serious felony can be reduced to a misdemeanor and be charged as a theft by public servant, which is a lesser offense. Let this offense carry the gravity of the case committed by the suspects. That way we can say, yes, we are doing the right thing.
We now take our second and final set of commercials, but do join us for international and sports news when we come back. Do stay tuned.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flavor. From crispy chips to creamy mash, potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen. Grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Palabana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right, healthy, big and tasty. For that quick fix or big celebration or that meal that brings family together, top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
It's morning again in Zambia. Today, millions of our children will go to school more than ever before in the history of our country, because free education is opening doors that were once closed. Today, with over 40 million kwacha to spend, communities will build clinics, improve schools, drill boreholes, and transform lives using the increased CDF. Men and women will walk through markets and stations freely, without fear or intimidation from cadres. But the journey is not over, and we still have more work to do.
We've started the change. Now let's finish the job. On the 13th of August 2026, vote for Hakainde Hichilema as President of the Republic of Zambia. And let us continue to move Zambia forward together.
Voting is one of the few moments where we all have a voice.
One person, one vote.
No titles, no status.
Just a choice.
It's not about doing nothing.
It's about showing up.
Because your vote matters.
It's easy.
It's important.
It's ours. Count me in.
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 From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, downlights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Thank you so much for still joining us on the Camnet News Desk. And now, in international news. Voter registration began Thursday in Haiti's capital and beyond, marking a critical milestone in the push for general elections even as concerns over widespread gang violence persist. The government opened 10 registration centers across Port-au-Prince in neighborhoods considered generally safe as dozens of hopeful Haitians trickle through. Haiti hasn't held general elections in more than a decade, and the country hasn't had a president since President Jovenel Moïse was killed at his private residence in July 2021. Here's a roundup of international stories courtesy of Africa News.
Haiti has launched voter registration ahead of December's elections, the country's first in a decade. 10 registration centers have opened across generally secure areas of Port-au-Prince as hopeful voters begin signing up in a key step toward restoring democratic rule. The Electoral Council will continue to open registration centers across the country so that the public can register for the first step, the second step being to go and vote. Haiti hasn't held a general election in more than a decade and has been without a president since Jovenel Moïse was assassinated in 2021. Since then, gang violence has spiraled, with armed groups controlling an estimated 70% of Port-au-Prince. The country's unelected prime minister is under growing pressure to deliver elections, although the planned December 13th vote still depends on security conditions improving. It's up to them to do their job, because they have all the necessary means at their disposal. The Prime Minister, the Interior Minister, Mario Andressol, and Police Chief Vladimir Parisson, to establish security so that everyone can go to the polls and choose a candidate. The violence remains relentless. UN figures show more than 5,900 people were killed last year, with another 1,600 deaths recorded in just the first 3 months of this year.
Activists gathered in Kenya's capital on Thursday to demand the release of Ugandan opposition leader Kizza Besigye a day after he collapsed in a court in Kampala.
Eyewitness, a legal account described a shocking, frail state of deterioration, with Dr. Besigye exhibiting yellowing eyes, labored breathing, and gasping for air. He is currently fighting for his life under hostile military guard in the ICU at Mulango National Referral Hospital. Simultaneously, his co-counsel and People Front for Freedom leaders Arias Lukwago is trapped in critical condition at Luzira prison, where the state is actively denied him special life-saving medical evacuation to India despite official warning from national referral doctors.
Besigye fell in the dock on Wednesday while protesting his trial without lawyers of his own choosing. He remains admitted in hospital.
The continued detention of Dr. Besigye therefore cannot be viewed in isolation. His unlawful cross-border rendition, prolonged detention, deteriorating health, and continued prosecution despite mounting challenges to the state's own evidence collectively point to an escalating assault on due processes, judicial independence, and the rule of law.
Besigye was abducted in Nairobi in November 2024 and was later charged in a military court in Uganda. His case was moved to a civilian court last year.
Hamas says it has agreed to a deal announced on Thursday by U.S. President Donald Trump to disarm the group and pave the way for Israel withdrawal from Gaza and the reconstruction of the enclave. Trump earlier hailed the deal as historic and monumental, noting that the Board of Peace he created in January agreed to it to put to action his 20-point peace plan for Gaza. The deal, according to the U.S. President, will be carefully structured in phases, first beginning with the complete disarmament of Hamas, and all other groups, and then moving on to the IDF's retreat. After both steps are completed, a technocratic government run by former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair will then be appointed to work alongside Palestinian officials to govern the territory and oversee its reconstruction. Trump did not detail a specific timeline in his announcement, but officials familiar with the matter have indicated that they expect the disarmament process to be completed within the coming 2 weeks. They added that Hamas' surrendering of heavy weapons and the decommissioning of its tunnels is a process expected to take between 200 to 350 days. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has repeatedly stated that his country will not withdraw its troops from Gaza until all weapons are turned over and Hamas is dismantled.
And finally, in sports news this evening, Zambia will begin their Total Energies CAF Africa Cup of Nations AFCON 2027 qualifying campaign with a tough away match against Algeria before hosting Togo during the opening FIFA international window in September. The CHIPOLOPOLO were handed the challenging Group I fixture list with their opening match against the Desert Foxes scheduled during the FIFA window running from September 21 to October 6, 2026. They will then return home to face the Hawks of Togo later in the same window. Coach George Rwandamina's side will continue their campaign in November when they host Burundi on March Day 3 before traveling to Bujumbura for their reverse fixture during the November 9 to 17 FIFA window. The qualifiers will conclude in March 2027 with Zambia hosting Algeria before traveling to Lome to face Togo in their final Group I fixture. The decisive matches will be played between March 22 and 30, with the top teams in the group securing qualification to the Total Energies CAF Africa Cup of Nations Pamoja 2027. The campaign could also mark the CHIPOLOPOLO's long-awaited return to the National Hero Stadium, which is nearing completion after undergoing renovations. Zambia have played their home qualifiers at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium in Ndola over the past 4 years due to the closure of the Lusaka venue. And that sporting item brings us to the end of this edition of Main News on Camnet TV. But before we go, a recap of stories that made headlines. Political parties sign peace pledge ahead of August 13 elections. Economist calls for fiscal discipline to sustain inflation gains. Mining sector posts strong gains as nickel output surges 143%. In international news, voter registration opens as Haiti eyes December pause. In sports, CHIPOLOPOLO Open 2027 AFCON qualifiers away to Algeria. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, coming from the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 34. It reads, "All give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever." That ends the Bible reading, and that concludes this edition of Main News on Camnet TV. But dear viewer, like always, be reminded that Camnet TV is not just another channel. Now showing on Topstar channel 106, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on the CanStream app. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Tapelo Joe Smarter. Good evening and God bless.